At 11:04 p.m. on March 9th, the Schenectady County Unified Communications Center received a call from GE Security that there was a female trespasser on scene and didn't know how she got there, and she claimed to have lost her child. Responding officers interviewed the female, now known to be Persia Nelson, and began looking for the child. Unable to locate the child, they requested additional resources to assess where to expand their search. It took some time, but officers were able to connect an address on Campbell Avenue to the female, and this ultimately led officers to the dead end of 12th Street, where they were able to identify where the female went with her baby and a location where she entered the GE campus. Once that location was established, a thorough search was conducted using canines to track, drones, and personnel on foot. At this point, officers were looking for a lost one-year-old child. After hours of searching and unable to locate her, state police and state forest rangers were contacted to assist with conducting a grid search on the GE campus. As the morning came, it was also decided that we could not rule out an abduction or the child being exposed to some other dangerous situation. So we decided to put out an Amber Alert. At 12:30 p.m., one of the search teams on the GE campus found Halo inside a utility tunnel structure located on the GE campus. Medics were requested, and she was brought to Ellis Hospital by members of the Schenectady Fire Department and Mohawk Ambulance, where life-saving efforts were performed, but unfortunately she never regained her vitals and was declared deceased at 1:24 p.m. Persia Nelson was charged last evening with 1 count of manslaughter. An additional charge of murder in the second degree, depraved indifference, is being filed right now. I'll now turn it over to our District Attorney, Robert Carney, who will discuss the charges filed.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you for coming. It's nice to see you here. I'm sorry it's under such profoundly sad circumstances. I must say at the outset of my remarks what I'm required to say every time we do something like this, which is these are charges filed against Ms. Nelson. At this time, they are only accusations. She is entitled to the presumption of innocence and all of her other rights, including the right ultimately to a fair trial for her peers. First, let me tell you what happened in court this morning. Judge Falatico arraigned Ms. Nelson. She was held on $500,000 cash, $1 million secured bond, or $5 million partially secured. Judge Falatico adjourned the case to Thursday at 1:30 for a preliminary hearing. My assistant district attorney, Mike Nobles, handled the arraignment. He's present here today. And as previously indicated, my deputy chief, assistant district attorney, and chief of the homicide bureau, Christina Tremonti, was involved in this case, and she went to the scene yesterday and spent some time being briefed by the investigators. This morning, an autopsy was conducted by Dr. Eng at Ellis Hospital. Based upon his findings that this child died of exposure and hypothermia, the decision was made to file additional charges. The baby was dropped into this utility tunnel from a height of about 8 feet to the bottom of the tunnel where there was standing water. The baby did not drown. The baby was in the water, which came up to her chest and around her head, but not her face. Her mother was found in a GE security building, which was heated. So based upon the fact that this additional charge is being filed, I doubt whether the preliminary hearing will occur on Thursday. That will give us a little more time, but we will be proceeding to grand jury expeditiously on this case. The additional charge that is filed is a charge of depraved murder in violation of section 125.25, subdivision 1 of the penal law. Is that subdivision 4? Subdivision 4 of the penal law, which is a branch of depraved mind murder that requires us to prove under circumstances evincing a depraved indifference to human life and being 18 years old or older or more, recklessly engaged in conduct which creates a grave risk of serious physical injury or death to another person less than 11 years old, and thereby causes the death of that person. So that's the theory that is now being charged, or will be soon lodged against her, and we will seek to present that as well as the prior charges to a grand jury, as I said, within the near future. So that's my general comments. Chief, I'll turn it back to you for Q&A.
Yeah, we'll open up the questions for this time.
Chief, was the mother incapacitated in any way when she was found by substances or otherwise?
She didn't know where she was. I'll leave it at that.
Can you talk about the lag between when we got that notification from police that Halo was missing and then when the Amber Alert went out? What is that system like, and what does it take to put out that Amber Alert?
Sure.
First, your name, sir?
Dennis Shager, Troop Commander for Troop G. So there's a lot of criteria that has to be met before an Amber Alert could be issued. And in this case, as was mentioned earlier, when we became aware this possibly could be abduction and just not a lost child, that's when the determination was made to send the Amber Alert out. Now, as far as the Amber Alert going out, I'm going to read something here so I don't mess it up, but it's technology issues with the alert that went out yesterday. So the initial alert, when it was going to be sent, should have gone out at 10:10. That alert went to media and to other law enforcement agencies. The alert going to the public didn't go out until 11:15 a.m. because of some technology issues, that an error in the system and the information from the original entry wasn't transcribed to go out to the public notification. So I've been advised that the New York Alert System and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is examining the error and working on a solution right now. Does that answer your question?
Is there any indication that the lag in the Amber Alert caused any difficulties in resolving this case and recovering the body of the young girl?
No, not at all.
Can you just clarify the additional charges that will be filed one more time?
It's a depraved murder charge. The general charge of depraved murder is acting under circumstances evincing depraved indifference to human life, recklessly engaged in conduct which creates a grave risk of death and death results. But the subdivision having to do with the child says the grave risk doesn't have to be of death, but create a grave risk of either serious physical injury or death, and death results, and it's a child less than 11 and you're an adult more than 18.
Does Ms. Nelson have other children, and if so, who are they in the custody of?
It's my understanding that she has one other child in the custody of the child's biological father.
Someone who claims to be a relative of the biological father has been speaking to multiple media outlets, claiming that there's been a fight for custody over Halo Branton. Can you comment on that?
I cannot.
Does Ms. Nelson have any prior arrest records?
It's not something we could comment on.
Did she have legal custody of Halo at the time?
I have no reason to believe that she didn't.
Chief, do you know what time you first contacted state police about activating the Amber Alert system? Do you know when that was?
I really don't remember the exact time. I know it was in the morning that I was in contact with the major, and we've been discussing it.
Have there been issues with this, errors with the system before? Or is this something you've seen for the first time?
To my knowledge, the first time.
Did she go to GE Security for help, or did they discover her in that shed?
It's my understanding that they discovered her in their patrols.
And what's the significance of the
Let me
address?
just step in for a second.
I'm sorry.
She wasn't in a shed. The mother was not in a shed. The mother was in a heated building. This utility enclosure with the 8-foot drop was where this baby was dropped or placed or hidden.
Out in the, but in the elements.
Yes.
But the mother was not in the elements.
No.
What's the significance of the address at Campbell Avenue and 12th Street? Was she, was at her house? Was she at a party there? What was that address?
That's the location that we were able to determine that she originated from before she walked onto the campus.
Does the mother and child have a residence in the community? Do they live somewhere?
They do live in the city.
Sir, between that address and the GE campus, there's a significant cliff sort of drop-off. Do you know how the mother and her child got from that address to the GE campus?
Not really. We can assume, but we don't know how she got down there.
How long has she lived in Schenectady, and who was she staying with?
I don't have an answer for that.
Does she have a permanent address in the city? We were told that she might be in a shelter situation, something of that nature.
I don't know the answer to that either.
We were told in court this morning, or the judge was told in court this morning, that she moved to Schenectady to be with a boyfriend. Has that boyfriend been interviewed by police at this time?
That's not something that we can comment with on right now.
Can you describe more about how baby Halo was found by the team that was searching for her?
How the baby was found? I really don't know. I know that they were able to locate her, but I don't know the specifics behind that.
It was patrol officers from the department that found her, right?
It was members of our SWAT team that are patrol officers that located her, but I don't know the specifics about, other than they saw her.
Bob, I know it's still early in this investigation, but have we determined a possible motive here?
No.
Chief, you spent a lot of time, and all the crews did, looking for this child in very bad weather. Can you just talk at all about the emotional toll for all of the officers that were involved, looking for her for so long, with obviously the clock is ticking?
Yeah, I mean, I would think it's fair to say that, everybody, both the Schenectady police officers and all of our partner agencies, including our Unified Communications Center, everybody's shaken by this. Everybody can relate to a one-year-old child being helpless. And at the time, the adrenaline's rushing. We're motivated to find her, but after the reality sets in, it's definitely taking a toll on everybody. But we're all working through it. We're checking in on each other, and it's certainly a sad day for sure.
Chief, just to go back to your timeline, there's a posting, a Facebook posting from Saturday around 8:16 p.m. And it's to an account that I believe is linked to Persia. And it says, I'm drunk ASF, drunk as fuck. Don't play with me right now, LMFAOO. Do we know I don't know if you're aware of this posting, but do we know where the child was? Was she with her mother at that time?
As I mentioned earlier, this is an active investigation, so that's something that you really just don't want to comment on at this time.
So at this point, is it unclear why she went from that Campbell Avenue address onto the GE plant campus?
Again, this is an ongoing investigation, not something we can comment on at this time.
So respectfully, we do have to kind of wrap up questions, if that's okay. We're just going to get one or two more, and then we'll...
In regards to Ms. Nelson, are there any previous police reports of child abuse or neglect against her?
That's, again, part of our ongoing investigation we're looking into right now.
Do you expect to bring charges against anyone else in this case, outside of Ms. Nelson?
I really can't answer that right now. It depends on where the investigation goes.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.